So the challenge this year is the buy nothing challenge. It's strictly business. All we're going to be focusing and allocating our resources on are the things that we are trying to build. Meaning, whatever money I make, I will spend on books. If there's a breakdown in terms of equipment, I don't think I need any additional equipment. Um, yeah, literally just focusing on essentials and needs alone. Uh, the buy nothing challenge, as it's called. So you don't buy that snack, you don't buy that protein shake before you go to the gym, you don't buy that nice little candy bar that's gonna give you a kick of energy, and then you can have a better pump today because today is none of that. Um, and I think for me, it's that I have found myself sometimes in situations where there was a lot of potential for money to be there, and it was spent little by little on these stupid examples, insignificant things that don't actually matter, right? So I want to make sure you guys can, eye contact. Insignificant things that don't really matter that you forget you purchased on the day, or you forget that you purchased by the next day. So if you can live without it, don't buy it. So if you're a bit older than I am and you're maybe paying rent at where you're at, um, then that's an expense of yours. The gas that's in your car, you don't go out, you don't spend money on needless things. You buy your groceries at discount. You just are as frugal as possible so you can stack as much money together that is going to give you more shots on goal, right? We talk about keep making plays. Last time we were out here, we talked about keep making plays, and the way to do that, the number one way to be able to keep making plays is to have the resources to keep making plays. And how that happens is whatever you work on, you think of it sometimes as what does this cost me? For example, I'm now doing what I'm doing is I'm back to the rugby coaching thing, putting up in Batman suits over there, which is it's interesting to say the least. So I'm getting paid $100 an hour. Okay, so if I see this Nike shoe and it cost me $1,000 or 1.5 something, that's 15 sessions. Would I work 15 sessions to get that thing? If it's yes, then okay, give me a second. If you take that 1.5, you invest it in the S&P 500, it increases, you get 10% interest on it throughout the year. You multiply that out by however many years you would be keeping it, like between now and say when you retire, you'll find that 1.5 is worth a lot more than 1.5. Let's just throw a number out there and say it's worth 50K. Would you pay 50K for those shoes? Probably not. So if you wouldn't pay 50K, why pay 1.5 for them now when that 1.5 could go into something that could make you that much money? Or it could go into the S&Me 500 that could make you even more money. You could buy skills. It goes back to the old adage, which is rich people buy time, poor people buy stuff, ambitious people buy skills, and lazy people buy distractions. And so we don't want to be in any camp aside from the ambitious camp at the moment, so that we could eventually get into a position where we can begin to buy our time back. We can begin to acquire assets, acquire pieces of the things that we're working on. I mean, there is a larger, grander plan to specifically what I'm doing with my business stage consultation. As I've told you guys the vision many a time, and I will reiterate it for you now. It's to grow South African businesses. And when we get to the point now, we were one step further, right? We have a track record. We've proven that we can make businesses money. And so now we begin to monetize. And this type of discipline is very important when it comes to now that we're monetizing. It's actually coinciding really well with my journey, right, with celibacy, deciding not to even entertain anything for the year. So I'm buying nothing this year. I'm entertaining nothing in that aspect. Like, there are no distractions. The words of the year are intentional, deliberate, and focused. And so being intentional is I know what I'm going to do Deliberate is I know why I'm doing it, and focused is I'm going to remove anything that will stop me or hinder me from doing exactly what I want to do. And so I say all of those things to say that when you put yourself in that position where, like I say, I'm monetizing this year, we are moving the ball forward, we are stepping towards becoming exactly what we want to become. Now that we're getting the money in, it's going to allow us to up our game in terms of, again, acquiring the things that are going to upskill me, which is going to allow me to serve my customers better at a higher level, which is going to lead to more income. And eventually, when that income is stacked up, especially with just not buying anything that is not absolutely necessary, when that money stacks up, we are going to begin to acquire equity in some of the companies that we work in, that we believe in. um, so we are vested, so we are invested in the companies that we are already working with, and we can take things to just a whole nother level, you know. And that's the dream, that's the goal. And that's something that's not going to happen within this year. um within the next 5, I'll say, is when I'll truly be in a position where I can seriously start having stakes, not only having stakes, but being able to make moves and move things around to actually drive significant growth. But I need to know what that looks like inside and out, hence the constant self education, hence the focus, right? So we're working on a plan here. And what is important to us with this Buy Nothing challenge and with all the other things that we're doing is to be in that camp of the ambitious people that are going to be buying the skills. And again, the more skills you have, the more you're going to be able to create opportunities for yourself to shoot on goal. And the more shots on goal you have, the higher the likelihood that you're going to hit. And the great thing about success is you only have to win once. And the more shots that you put on that thing, the higher the likelihood that you are going to win. And what is the you can say blessing and curse of how I've chosen to go about my business is my money is slow money, but it's for sure money. It's when I know what I'm doing. At Yeah, okay, you never know what you're doing, right? But I understand how to make certain things happen, right? And when I understand how to get to the next level, or I already understand how to get to, but when we've gotten there and we're actually doing the things and we're going through the motions, then we need to be constantly evolving ourselves so that when we get to that next level, we know how to get to the next one. We know how to beat the next boss. We know how to conquer um, the next dragon. You know how to slay the next dragon, how to conquer the next kingdom, and become who we want to become slowly but surely, inch by inch, right? So something I want to touch on is most people will never be wealthy because they think the only way to make money is to trade time for money. It goes back to the rich people buy time, right? And so if you're working for money right now, okay, I know this makes a little bit of noise. I apologize. If you're working for time at the moment, then your time is directly linked to how much money you can make. The higher the leverage, the position that you're in, the more the disconnect between the time you put in and what you get out. You put little in, you get a lot out. That's high leverage, right? And so there is a severe undereducation in terms of financial education, in terms of business education. Specifically, I'll say in this space right here, because we have not been on the creating end of things. Even today, my people are largely consumers, right? And so that's why it's very important that I come out here in the way that I do, put the messaging out, and at least get people thinking. Um, it does get to a point where even within these things I talk about specifically tactically what I'm doing with my companies, this, that, and the third. And you can pick up little snippets here and there, but I'm the biggest advocate, number one, for getting that self-education very specifically in the fields that you want to be skilled in. And I'm not telling you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself and that I haven't done myself. Now it just comes down to that focus element, which is removing the other stuff. Meaning I have worked minimum wage, 20, 24, $25 an hour, working 8-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts. doing all that and pouring all the money into what I believed at the time was going to be my vehicle into success. And then again, as we grow, we learn. You know, on the way to a dream, you sometimes you run into a bigger dream. So ran into that bigger dream and continue to educate ourselves, and that's what made us actually pour into um, what we're doing now at the level that we're pouring into it. So I say that to say it is not a one step quick fix thing. It is slow money, but it is for sure money. Is once you understand the way that the game works, you can play it at a very, very high level very, very quickly. And you're not as far away from those dreams as you think you are. And so rich people buy assets, and poor people think that the property they live in is an asset. Financial education is our only hope. Meaning, there are people, even people listening to me right now, who don't know what I mean when I say that the house you live in is not an asset. In accounting class, perhaps you put it in the asset column, but is it money in or money out? Are you paying money into it, or is it paying you? If you rented that out, if you have a flat at the back, that flat is an asset because its existence is a net positive to your bank account. The existence of your house that you're living in currently is an expense. If something breaks, you have to pay for it. Do you understand that just the basic concept, basic idea of that? Of cars are liabilities, they're not assets. Um, Assets are money in. Assets are things that bring money in. So if you own a business, that thing prints money. The goal of it is to print money. Is if I make that business bigger, it is going to make me more money. If I put 1 rand in, it's going to pay me 1,000. If you had a machine where if you put 1 rand in, it gave you 1,000 rands, how many rands would you put in that machine? All of them, right? Because you're going to get that much more back. Um, those are assets. Those are the things that create money for you, that make you money. If you look at stocks, why is a stock an asset? Well, because a stock is a piece of a company, and the stocks pay you dividends because you own a piece of that company. When that company is doing well, you get paid. And so owning that piece, that's something you own, right? It's yours, and it makes money for you independent of your time. Notice that it's disconnecting the idea of I have to work and get paid. Sometimes you get paid first and then you work. Or you can get to the very high leverage position where you get paid and you may never have to work. But that's a conversation for another day, right? But yeah, financial education is our only hope, and that is the hope, you know. Sometimes with a little bit of what I'm doing and the type of messaging that I'm trying to put out is to at least spark some light bulbs, get people interested in some stuff. That's why we get into these tangents. Um, and speaking of another one of the differences between people who have and people who don't have is people often talk about working smart and not hard, but hard is necessary in order to get smart because at first you don't know what you're doing, meaning volume negates luck. The more you do, the more you can understand what's working, what isn't working. You do more of what's working, less of what isn't working, and so on and so forth. And so you get to the point where, for example, when I my understanding of content creation has increased as I've done it. And so I've gotten to the point where I could post only this type of content and it does well, period. And I'm still constantly learning and I'm still constantly getting my numbers up, but I've gotten a steady flow of numbers rather than there being an influx and then a drop and then high and then a low. Great wise man once said, better to fail and know why than to win and not understand why. Because it wasn't really a deliberate thing that you did, it was luck. Um, and there's nothing wrong with getting lucky, but you better damn sure know exactly why so that you can duplicate it. 2025, strictly business, regardless what man's selling or where man's selling it. And I couldn't care how you get it as long as you're getting it. Um, an exaggeration. I do care how you get it. Don't put your life in danger. Don't do anything illegal. Um, but never be embarrassed to get to the money in any way, shape, or form possible. As long as it's going to be, again, according to the Spy Nothing Challenge, feeding into the main thing that is going to be your asset or the skill set that is one day going to build your expertise in an asset class that you may acquire assets in that space. I don't know if I'm talking to air now, if I'm over talking. So okay, for example, I'm a business guy. There's a very big difference between business and real estate. Even though some businesses may own, like for example, McDonald's is a real estate company more than it is a business company. Why? Because their whole game is franchising out their stuff, and they don't only own the shop, they own the land underneath. And so they actually make most of their money from the tenants who rent from them, who own their McDonald's stores. And so when the person has a McDonald's, they can keep all the proceeds to that. Where they get their money is from the person that is basically a tenant. So it's more so a real estate company than it is anything else. Now, I do have somewhat of an understanding of real estate because that was my initial thing that I thought I was going to go into. Um, but I say that to say, now that I am where I'm at now, I have a way deeper understanding of the ins and outs of business than I do in real estate. And so my portfolio, my investment portfolio, would reflect that. It does reflect that. When I'm stacking money in the way that I'm stacking money from my businesses, it's going back into my businesses. You know, when I stack money from me going out there in myself, I need to increase self. You know, if I'm stacking money coming from this, it needs to go back into this. That's just the way that I believe, I think I operate now. And so I wouldn't take money from this and put it in real estate because I'm going from something that I know to something that I have no idea about in depth. For example, I know the issues that come with business, right? I know what snags you can run into and all that stuff. And when an object is looking shiny and it's looking great, that's why I'm never going into forex ever. I just accepted that as a part of my life because it's understanding that if you want to be excellent at things, you can only be excellent at a very select few things. You can only be excellent at a very select few things. And so understanding that you sort of get an understanding of where to push your energy, where to put your energy and not to diversify too much. Again, another topic for another day. But yeah, a little bit of that financial education right there we're kicking right now. And so a very big part of today, what we're doing today, the idea, the reason for the buy nothing challenge, is just understanding that a focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius. I'm not calling anyone fools except for myself. I know that I know nothing, and I'm still an infant in all the games that I'm in. However, a focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius. Meaning, the reason for the buy nothing challenge, the reason why it is intentional, deliberate, and very importantly focused, is because when you say no to those things, when you don't spend the little change here, little change there, all those things add to the positive. You know, when you remove negative, it is almost as powerful as increasing positive. And depending on how detrimental the negative was to begin with, it may be more powerful than adding to the positive. And so I encourage this very much. I encourage focus because again, this is the third video in a row that I'm saying this, and I will keep saying it because it keeps making more and more sense. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, and the way to take advantage of compounding is by not interrupting it. And so, if you have resources that are put together because you didn't spend that little money on that chocolate bar or on that snack or on that this or on that, when those resources are pooled and they're actually looking like something significant and you're able to add that to what it is that you're doing, what it is you're focused on, what it is that you're growing, where it is that your fortune will come from, then you are putting yourself in a space where you can start playing the game on a whole nother level. You can start increasing your capacity. You start increasing the entire potential and longevity of the whole system when you remove those detours. If you think about acceleration, you think about I'll make this analogy, and some people won't like it. Some people won't like it at all because it is an Andrew Tate analogy. It's one that he's used, and as soon as I dropped that name, I know like half of the people clicked off. But I feel that it's very important to listen to wisdom even when it's coming from your enemy. And I'm not saying he's my enemy, but he may be your enemy. You may dislike things that he says, but I think it's very important to recognize valid information even when it's coming from a source that is not reputable. Stay with me now. When a rocket is leaving the atmosphere, it doesn't stop halfway through. It has to continue all the way through because it needs that momentum. Momentum is a very, very important thing. And notice that when rockets launch now, so that's the Andrew Tate thing, right? Is when a rocket's launching, it doesn't stop halfway through. But also notice that it's going straight up. It's not going up and then left a little bit and then right a little bit and then veering off and slowing down. It The reason why it's able to break through the atmosphere is because the acceleration compounds, meaning once you get things going, it's easier to keep them going and it's easier to increase the speed. Once you hit the gas and it grips, as soon as you start moving forward, notice how much quicker the acceleration becomes. The reason why a Bugatti is so fast is because they have like literal jet engines in the back of that thing. And the cool thing about it is that it basically the top out of its acceleration is nearly non-existent. It's ridiculous, right? Like especially on a normal conventional road, there's no like stretch of road that is going to be sufficient to let that thing go. You need to be like in on like an airport hangar. Then the reason why is as soon as say the electric engine is finished, the motor engine kicks in. When the motor engine is finished accelerating, then the turbos kick in, and then those jet engines start going off, and so imagine this: the energy necessary. Here's what I need you to understand: the energy necessary to go from zero to going is a lot more than the energy necessary to go from 100 to 200. And so when you do not interrupt the compounding, when you remove the distractions, when you're focused, focus defined as the quantity and quality of the things you say no to, when you're focused, then it is a lot easier to keep your foot on that gas and just sometimes you don't even need to accelerate more. You can just keep your acceleration. Um, how can I say? You can keep the speed at which you are applying acceleration the same, and the speed will continue to increase regardless. And that's the beauty and the magic of compounding. And so take advantage of that within your life, take advantage of that within your business, and within everything that's just going on that you want to make sure is happening for you at the highest level, especially during this year. We're almost finished with this January, so the gyms are about to clear up. Thank God. I'm joking. I'm joking. But there's a little bit of truth in all jokes. The gyms are about to clear up because the people are going to go back on their New Year's resolutions quite soon. So be on the lookout for that. That means there are going to be opportunities that are going to open up. There are other people who are going to give up on the whatever journeys that they're on at some point in time, and you and I are not going to be those people. I mean, a lot of people a lot of people talking all the time saying that they're going to change their lives. You and I, my friend, we're actually going to change our lives. Thank you for watching. Please do hit that subscribe button if you do love the messaging and what I try to do, what I try to put out. Um, the reason why I'm shirtless, the reason why I'm shirtless is because it's actually really hot here, where I'm at in the Eastern Cape, South Africa. So yeah, Bafetsu, I will try not to make a habit of this. It's not something that I want to make a habit of. The vest is what I was wearing the last time I was recording. So for the sake of simplicity and knowing which recording went where, and I can't wear that, I am not going to wear the t-shirt. I'm not going to iron one of the white ones. And so this is the only option we had left. Forgive me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I've been Sage, signing out.